working with clients, I often hear something along the lines of, "It's impossible to fix this marriage myself. Just like it takes two to tango, it takes two to fix a relationship." What if I told you that's not entirely true? In this video, I'm going to give a brief introduction into systems theory and what it has to say about changing your relationship, even if your spouse is not on board. I'm Daniel, a professional therapist and hobby baker. See, a systems approach shows us a single emotionally grounded individual can catalyze meaningful change in a relationship. Edwin Friedman, in his book A Failure of Nerve, defines self-differentiation as the capacity to stay connected while maintaining a clear sense of self. This means you can hold your own values, beliefs, and emotional boundaries without being reactive or controlling in response to your partner's emotional state. See, in the context of marriage, this becomes foundational. It shifts us from over-functioning and managing our spouse, or merging into their emotional field, to becoming a stable, non-anxious presence. Many distressed marriages operate within what Friedman calls an emotionally regressed system. Emotionally regressed systems are marked by 5 key characteristics. 1. Chronic reactivity, or high emotional reactivity, often misread as passion or urgency, but actually signals an underdeveloped tolerance for anxiety. Number 2 is a herd mentality. There's pressure to conform to the group, especially emotionally. And so differentiation, or being able to separate myself emotionally, feels like betrayal. The group or the system wants everyone to feel the same anxiety or discomfort. Number 3 is blame displacement. Responsibility is externalized. Each partner waits for the other to quote-unquote fix it. And number 4 is a short-term fixation. The system resists the slow growth, preferring symptomatic relief over a structural change. And the last is a lack of the self-differentiated leadership. In a regressed system, there's no one that holds a steady emotional position, and leadership becomes reactive or disappears altogether. It's almost like a ship at sea with no captain, or at least no map of how to get better or how to improve. So this kind of environment breeds stagnation. So rather than hoping or waiting for your spouse to get on board and change, you can start by changing you and influence the emotional progression of the system. See, introducing even one emotionally regulated, non-anxious presence into the system can begin to disrupt these patterns. So this is the why you can change your marriage with just you, with a systems theory. And now let's talk about how to get there. So step 1, we need to clarify your identity. Know what you value, what you need, and what you will or won't participate in emotionally. Not in the sense of having an ultimatum, but just finding clarity that you can lean on or revert back to. Number 2 is reduce overfunctioning. Stop trying to manage or emotionally carry your partner. Rescuing them reinforces dependency and limits their accountability. And number 3 is regulate before responding. Create space between stimulus and response. Emotional maturity is measured in milliseconds, and so your ability to pause is an example of leadership. An example of personal change I've worked towards in this area of reducing overfunctioning and regulating before responding is when my wife gets frustrated about something. In the early years of our marriage, I had a tendency to get defensive rather than allow her to feel her own frustration and just let that be. For example, if she calls me when I'm on my way to work frustrated about the kids making a mess and then seeing a full trash can, I could react and defend myself or demand grace because everyone forgets, but that will only escalate things. Instead, I've tried to practice giving grace that she is frustrated by more than one thing, and my ability to stay emotionally steady. Apologize for forgetting, reassure her that I will bring out the trash when I'm home if she wants to leave it on the front step. This prevents escalation and continued reactivity from either of us. And last, set boundaries with calm, not threat. Boundaries are about control, and integrity. When you calmly enforce what's okay and what's not, you model a functional emotional system. What we find is that this creates what Friedman calls a gravitational pull. Over time, the system either adapts or resists. But if you remain steady regardless, that's where your power is. So your marriage doesn't need two perfect people. It needs at least one emotionally strong leader. And if that's you right now, you're not powerless. In fact, you're more powerful than you know. So start with self-differentiation. Stay steady in the storm. And often your partner will eventually find their way towards you. Not because you pushed, but because you led. If any of this resonates, or if you have questions and would like to see future content on this topic, drop a comment or share your own story below. And if you want to see more insight on negative cycles that you might find yourself in with your spouse, watch this video here.